pandemic. Well, joining us from Birmingham right now in the United Kingdom is Dr. Esien Ukorebi. He's General Practice Specialty Registrar, Worcester Royal Hospital. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Millicent.
All right. First, are you optimistic that the lockdown till March was the best decision by the government?
Well, what we've currently seen with the second wave of the COVID-19 virus in the United Kingdom, I think that the lockdown was the best decision that could have been taken at this point. Like you rightly said, an average of about 935 persons die daily in the United Kingdom. And these are shocking numbers, to say the least. So I think putting the lockdown in place is actually the right thing to do by the government.
How are people taking it? I mean, we're hearing about studies in Japan, how suicide rates have jumped in the second wave. And that's because, I mean, there are perhaps not a lot of palliatives unlike the first wave, but that's Japan. But how do you think people are taking this lockdown in the UK?
Well, in the UK, it's a little bit different. So the UK, sometime last year, during the first wave of the coronavirus, started what they call the furlough scheme, where persons who were made to stay at home were paid 80% of their normal salaries. And the government, during this second lockdown, have extended the furlough scheme so to cover 80% of people's salaries, people who are made to self-isolate or people who are made to stay home as a result of, the lockdown and the restrictions. So people are taking it, well, optimistically, I would say, because on one hand, the government has been able to pay part of their salaries. And on the other hand, there is hope with the prospects of the vaccine. So like you also said, 4.2 million persons in the United Kingdom have now received their vaccines. So that's something to smile about, in the United Kingdom at this point.
And indeed, you mentioned it, the vaccine. You have received the vaccine. How do you feel?
Well, I received my vaccine yesterday, and few hours afterwards, like we have read and we all know, with the vaccine, just like every other vaccines, you can have some side effects. So like muscle aches, increase in temperature, not feeling too well. And I had a couple of those symptoms towards yesterday night and also this morning. Was not strong enough to go to work. But as the day progressed, I got better and I'm fine speaking to you here today. So I'm happy I've had the vaccine. This would help me, reduce the risk of transferring COVID to the next person and also help me, from developing symptoms of COVID. So at this moment, I feel well and fine after taking my first shot of the COVID vaccine.
All right. Well, when do you get to take the next one? And would you say, what would you say to people who are still skeptical about taking the vaccine?
Well, I get to take the next vaccine. Usually you take it after 12 weeks. So my next shot will be sometime in April. And to people who are still skeptical, I would say that we can see from the statistics every day, about 3.4 million persons have got COVID in the UK and about 91,000 have died so far, unfortunately, in the United Kingdom. And the vaccine offers some hope. So I think if you're wise enough, you would go for the vaccine. Lots of Black people have been taking the vaccine and they've been absolutely fine with the vaccine. So I would advise anyone, if you have an opportunity to take the vaccine, take the vaccine. The vaccine has been shown to be safe and it can reduce your chances of getting COVID by over 95%. So I would advise anyone contemplating that it is the right decision to make. There are many speculations and many misinformations about the COVID vaccine. And I want to say that it's quite unfortunate that we have this misinformation going around, but the vaccine is safe. It has been tested. It has been tried, just like the many other vaccines that we have around. So go ahead and take the vaccine, protect yourself and the community.
I also know you mentioned that you took the Pfizer vaccine. I want to ask about countries like Nigeria. Do you think it's the best for us in terms of cost, in terms of storage and, accessibility?
Well, the Pfizer vaccine, in terms of storage seems to be a little bit not very suitable. So it needs to be stored in a temperature of minus 70 degrees, if I'm correct. And other vaccines can be stored at normal fridge temperature. So if Nigeria must get some of these vaccines, then they have to invest in buying machines and refrigerators that can go as low as minus 70 degrees to be able to preserve this vaccine and preserve the efficacy of this vaccine. In terms of the cost, I might not be able to speak particularly on the cost because in the UK, the NHS covers the cost of the vaccines. But I would say the storage is a key point for Nigeria to look at if they must get this vaccine so that we don't have vaccines that go into waste.
So I just wanted to ask you one very quick question, and if you can answer as brief as you can. So do you just walk around now the UK like you're invincible since you've taken the vaccine?
Well, I mean, whether or not that you've taken the vaccine, it's still important for you to put on your face mask. It's still important for you to maintain hygiene, hand washing and things like that. Because the vaccine, what it does is that it prevents you from developing symptoms of COVID. So it prevents you from getting COVID, but that doesn't stop you from transmitting the virus, from one person to another by, touching someone who's been infected and moving on to the next person. So we still wear the face mask. We still wash our hands. We're not invisible. We need a large population of people to get these vaccines and to be immunized before we can get to that stage where people can walk around freely.
All right, Dr. Esien, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Dr. Esien Ukorebi, General Practice Specialty, Registrar, Worcester Royal Hospital. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much, Millicent.